All right, guys, just walked out here in the garage. Point of reference, here's where we were. Here's where we are. You've got the big ramp coming down, and I'm gonna turn you back over to Mr. Tony.
All right, guys, we're in the garage. I'm gonna transition to the exterior. So the outlets that are in the garage, there is a GFCI that the refrigerator is plugged into. So just be aware that if you have no power on any of these outlets, that does trip back here to this one GFCI, as well as any of the outlets on the outside. If they're not GFCI protected at the outlet, they will trip right here to this garage. So just kind of keep that in mind. So for the structure and the poured foundation here, you do have these expansion joints that are cut into this structure right here. So they're cut across. Sometimes they will cut on the apron as well. Just for settling issues. So it's kind of designed for if it is going to settle that it cracks right inside this crack of the expansion joint, because you're going to have vehicles that pull in. There's a lot of weight on this, and also you're going to have rain and snow. There's going to be water that's standing on this as well, so it's going to settle maybe, and then that's why they do that. So for a garage door opener, I want to make sure it's plugged into a designated circuit up here. It's not running by some sort of crazy extension cord, things like that. Has a cross member and properly supported. Emergency pull release cord here. None of the tension springs are broken. The operation is correct. You have a safety reverse sensor on the bottom. None of the railings are separated or any of the hinges or anything crazy like that is going on. So that's perfectly fine. As far as a garage and its surface for the ceiling, usually you'll see some sort of a seam pop or some sort of separation crack. This one looks in really good shape for 15 years. I don't really see any cracks whatsoever, so that's a very good sign. And especially you'll see some sort of possible moisture intrusion up in this area as well, and I didn't see anything like that. So very good looking garage. And then as far as termites, we didn't talk about that down in the basement, which I didn't see any evidence on the seal plate, band board, or anything as far as the wood goes for termites. When the termite guys come out here, they will look as much as possible around this garage foundation for shelter tubes, especially towards the entrance of the overhead door, because that's where you will see the shelter tubes. I didn't see anything like that, and then hopefully we didn't have a termite inspection done here because of VA. So hopefully whenever we get that back, if there isn't any evidence, I didn't see anything. Speaking of which, radon inspection was done today, or set Friday. It's supposed to be picked up today. Asking for those results. I haven't received that back yet, so we'll be hinging on that too. And so if that, before the end of this video, I might be able to get those results. The only other issue, or the only other thing that you would have here that would be worth mentioning, of course, this is your attic access. It is your only attic access for the entire house. And so you can get up there and go, for the most part, through over to the bedroom. You can see almost everywhere, just about. The transition for the cathedral ceiling is a little difficult to get over, but over by the other bedrooms, you could get over there. So it's packed full of insulation, blown in insulation, which is at least about 14 to 16 inches of insulation up there. It's not rolled batting insulation. And this section has a small little, almost like a walkway board for you can put some storage. And then this section actually has quite a bit larger, like OSB section that you can put storage up there. So as long as you can get up there, this is my ladder, and it's a telescopic ladder. It goes out to about 13 feet, and we're, what, 12 or about 10 feet or so? So you have to get you a ladder if you want to store anything up there. So we're looking for wet sheathing. It's all OSB, any kind of broken rafter, trusses, any water intrusion, of course, anything that's penetration areas like the plumbing vents or roof vents that go through the roof, which I didn't see any issues with that, especially around skylights, just to make sure we don't have a lot of moisture around there. As far as moisture in this space, I didn't see anything whatsoever. It looks in really good shape. And plenty of insulation, so nothing really up in the attic whatsoever. I guess we're ready to go outside. Might want to close that door. Alright, So they've already got a moving pod out here. It's kind of blocking some of the driveway, but the expansion joints again in the driveway are cut. It doesn't have any kind of real residual cracks that I can see that need to be sealed or anything that I would address. Especially this apron right here on the garage. Just want to make sure it's not separating either and it doesn't have anything that's just a residual crack that would need to be sealed. So for settling on the outside, typically if it's a brick construction, the stress points are the corners. So what you would normally see is some sort of like a stair step crack that would crack up these corners of the mortar joints. If we had something that would crack straight up through the brick, then there would be a lot more stress on this wall. Either side I didn't really see anything. Sometimes you'll see it right here in the center. And you can see that it has started just somewhat, but this isn't hardly anything worth even mentioning, so you can kind of see it starts right there. But that, if there isn't good drainage or take away from the water, leaders and extensions, this one part of the house will start to settle more than the other, and I have seen it to where it cracks all the way up into this vent for the attic, but you're a long way away from that. And then so also on the foundation of the garage, sometimes they will crack here on the cornerstones, and then that will separate and fall off. And we want to make sure that that's not happening, which it's not. However, we want to make sure that it's not going to happen for you, and this condition right here is what produces that. So you can see that this downspout should have some sort of like a leader and extension or splash block that would get it 3 feet away from the structure. That's kind of the rule. You definitely don't want to have that water just holding here. This is the condition that has led to your crack above the garage. And if you don't control this area with water management, running it out here to the swale, then that crack will continue to get worse for you. So just make sure that you're controlling a lot of this water management. This side of the house really is the north side. It doesn't get a lot of sun, as you can kind of see on the siding. It's some mildew stains. Not that it's going to harm anything, but a good pressure washing might be warranted to get some of that off for you. Foundation looks in really good shape. And again, it looks like where they have possibly done some repairs inside, they have sealed some of these form and foundation cracks here. So nothing that to really be too worried about, but it does look like somebody has tried to seal over that one, and then looks like they missed that one. For these window wells, what I would suggest is to clean out the debris. And as you can see, there's a drain here, so the drain goes down to the footer, and there should be some sort of grate or something. The builder doesn't hardly ever put any grates on these, and you can see all of the leaves and grass clippings and so forth will go right down into that drain. So I would suggest putting something over that drain and cleaning the rest of this out, just so you can expose the gravel down here. And this may have led to, and can lead to, some water intrusion. So just because the water holds behind the wall creates a hydrostatic pressure, and we know the cracks in the corners are evident on the other side. This side looked really good shape, but we don't want to have that produce any kind of water inside the house. You can also put a cover over that. And then looking for any other foundation cracks on this side. I don't see anything whatsoever. All right, the exhaust vent for a bathroom. All right, so the roof, can't really see the roof because this is the gable side. But we're looking at the roof for what James can show you just at the valley. So we want to make sure that the valleys are, this is called a California cut, and trimmed the way that it should be up through the valley here. Even in the attic, we want to make sure that that area is not producing any kind of leaks or moisture. We want to really make sure that the shingles are laying flat. There's no cupping or curling or any kind of sealing issues or nail pops. The ridge caps will start to deteriorate because of their bent shingles. We'll get back to the back of the structure and you'll see some staining. That's kind of an indication of the age. This house is 2004. I would say that the roof has not been changed. So it'd be 15 years old. It's a dimensional shingle, so this is a 30-year shingle. So you're halfway in on its life. All right, we'll walk around to the front. walkway, just want to make sure it's not settling away from the foundation. You do have the takeaway, of course, that we talked about with the downspout and the leader extension. This is good that they've got it boxed in. It's not running over the walkway. This little conduit's running out to your light pole out here in the front. And then I didn't see that it actually had been drilled for termite treatment. So on the foundation of the porch or the back porch, you'd actually see about every 12 to 16 inches some drill marks around the foundation, and I didn't see any of that, so I don't believe that it actually has been treated for termites either. So I didn't see any evidence, and I didn't see any evidence that it has been treated. Checking your outlet, and then of course checking any type of water or outlets on the outside just to make sure everything does work. Again, on the very top of the bedroom, the flashing, sometimes if it's exposed too much, this is tucked underneath that gable, so you probably won't have any issues, but I just want to make sure that flashing is sealed properly and you won't have any water intrusion issues. Again, with the roof section, looking at any of these valleys just to make sure that they're not lifted or cupped or curled shingles. It's laying nice and flat and looks in really good shape. So this section, as far as the front goes, it looks in really good shape. It's just some staining on the back. Again, our water management, right? Get this water away, and then the 2 crawl space vents. Typically, the rule of thumb, there is a little slider on those where you can slide them open, slide them closed. So I would just suggest to kind of keep them closed. To be honest with you, a lot of people forget about it in the wintertime, and then the basement stays pretty cold. So go ahead and just leave those closed. Would be my recommendation, and just get the water away here. For your exhaust, for the furnace intake and exhaust, is what that line is there. Of course, gas meter. Now this unit, it's a comfort maker as well. Same match pair as the furnace, 2004. So 15 years. I'm going to say nearing the end of its useful life, just because these units are designed for about 20 years, and we're 15 years in. So not to say it's going to fail on you in 5 years. Try to keep this unit covered and the fins cleaned out and so forth. It's on standoffs. It doesn't have a typical pad, so it's functioning perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it is 15 years old. So things that I'm looking for here, just want to make sure there's no fin damage. The fins are clean. If there's anything as far as foliage or debris that's around it, you want to make sure you keep that away, and clean out any type of just dirt and debris that get on this. If this ever fails to operate, you do have a tumble switch here, and it could be fuses behind this as well. So fuses could blow as well. So check those fuses before you call that service technician for a $200 bill. And then so for the line set, want to make sure it's properly sealed going into the structure here. This is a high pressure, low pressure line, liquid suction line. And so just want to make sure this low pressure line is wrapped. You can kind of see by our serial tag, it's kind of sun faded. You can't get any information off of that. I'll do the best that I can to get that model number and serial number off of there, but we know that it's a matched pair and it's 2004. And again, looking inside any kind of window wells, clean those out and get those nice and clean so that it can drain properly. GFCI, which this one doesn't appear to look like it is a GFCI, right, like we talked about, but it will trip to the garage. Dryer vent, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and clean the dryer vent out. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but it needs to be cleaned. And then of course a clean out for your main sewer line here. Underground utilities, you don't have a mast or surface mount or anything. Typically what happens with these is this conduit line will pull and separate from that. So just want to make sure that isn't happening, which it isn't. Probably can get rid of your dish since there's no L&B horn here. It's kind of useless. And again, they have tried to put something over top of this drain, so they should have done that for the entire one. My flashlight's not bright enough to show up that, but you got some bags and things like that underneath there. It really should just be gravel and drain covered. Okay. All right. So for the backyard, okay, we'll have to watch our step.
A lot of landmines back here, guys. Pardon the shaky camera work.
All right, so I want to have James get a picture of the lay of the land here for the grading. We've had some rain, and the marked sticks are the land perimeter for the border, I'm sure. And so that is your stake to be the end of the line. Kind of runs all the way across through past these utilities, and there's another marked stake over there. But you can see how wet it is. It's holding water right here in this swale. It's kind of gathering water. This kind of seems to be the lowest point. I don't see a drain, any kind of sewage drain or anything like that. Is there something over there?
Over there? Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is. So there is a drain right there.
Wondering why there isn't anything here. This seems to be a pretty low point.
Well, when it was built, you know what I mean, this area, the ground has probably settled since they built it, and that may have been the lowest point once upon a time.
Yeah. So if we look back at the house, see some staining. So it kind of is indicative of the age. So really, as far as the roof vents up on the apex, about every 8 feet or so is really kind of the rule, but it looks like they're placed about every 4 feet, plenty of ventilation. We've got, of course, the exhaust for the fireplace inside here, and then some plumbing vents and so forth. Around the skylights, just want to make sure there's no lifted shingles, anything that's cupping, curling, nail pops, any transition points like the plumbing vent that has the rubber neoprene around it. Those will crack and tear, allow water intrusion inside, and those typically are good for around 15 years or so. And you can see some of the staining that is apparent there. Kind of is indicative of the age, which is not a problem. They can spray some chemical on there and lightly spray it off. You don't really want to blast a lot of granules off. You can do more just damage from the deterioration of the granules than just leaving it alone. But again, 15 years in, it's a 30-year roof, so you're about halfway in. Just kind of watching my They need to maybe clean up a little bit. So again, water management is very important, right? So get this water away. The flat or negative splash block is not doing the greatest job here. And so especially right around where the area we know that we've had some basement settling. This is that corner right here where they've added the piers and supported the foundation. This is not helping that condition. So my recommendation is utilize the swale or the grading of the land and either bury a conduit line like a corrugated line down here towards the end of the house and the property line and get this water away from the house. It's a low area, it's a low section, so it's going to hold that water right here. You can tell that it has been doing that, even right around this window well. It's sunk in right here behind this window well. So all that water is holding around this, producing that pressure. It's pushing in on that basement wall. No true cracks on this window that we've seen inside, but eventually it may crack. If it does crack, you've got all this water that is going to get inside. So get this water away. Take nothing away from the inspection. Get this water away from the house. It's a lot about water management. Okay. And then for the porch, this has been added. So this section right here has been added. May have been some steps or something, but this is newer concrete versus what was originally on the house. And so we would again look for any kind of signs of drill marks around these areas of perimeter of this original pour to look for termite visible evidence of treatment, and it doesn't look like it has happened. So I think that's about it on the exterior. Pretty clean. Just a few little items on the inside. Not very much. I'll put a report together for you guys. We'll wait for radon results, of course. And the report will address marginal and defective items, but for the most part, pretty clean. 2004, it's been taken care of. So looks like it's the new home.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. And I don't know if you can see it from the video, but the yard actually does grade away from the house pretty well. So it naturally is going to run off a lot of that water. But like Tony said, with situations like this where you're just letting water dump right there to the foundation, you want to get that taken care of. That's more of a maintenance item. It's not really something we're going to have the seller address, because really the extensions are, you know, $5, $10 at Lowe's. So it's an easy fix. Like Tony said, we see more problems with water intrusion because of that right there than anything else. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up. I will be uploading these videos here shortly to send over to you guys, and I'll shoot you a message. Talk to you soon.